Hello, everybody. It is me. It's your girl. It's your Sistah-talk with Valerie, your chocolate smoothie. And we are brought to you by Armstrong International Media, which is AIM for the culture and for the collective. We can be seen every Friday at 7:30 on Untapped. We can be heard, I'm sorry, every Friday at 7:30 on Untapped Music Radio. Untapped Music Radio, y'all, where we be chilling and vibing 24/7. I have to change my background because for some reason it don't want to act right. So I'm here, y'all, and tonight I don't have a guest because guess what? You get to grill the chocolate smoothie tonight. Okay, you can see me better now. Y'all get to grill the chocolate smoothie, so I'm gonna have to check online to see if I have questions for the chocolate smoothie. Let me see. Okay, let me see. All right. Hey, Terry. So you get to grill the chocolate smoothie tonight. Um, you know, usually I have to tell y'all I have so much on my mind, so much to talk about, so many things. For the last couple of days, everybody's been talking about Will Smith and the little debacle that happened with Chris Rock. And everybody has different perspectives on that. I have a perspective on that too. Not saying anybody is wrong about their perspective. Um, I think for me, the whole thing is about how we treat each other. It hurts my heart that what I realized throughout this whole Will Smith, Chris Rock thing is that we've become more um, angry, aggressive, and like cool with that. We almost are in a place where certain things that we would normally say, nah, that ain't cool. We all right with it, and that bothers me. So that's all I have to say on that subject. My sister Terry had a question that she asked me last night because I don't see no questions up here, and y'all have to remember that you're gonna have to put your comments in the section so I could see it. But one of the questions that she asked me was, when did I get to the place where where I felt comfortable enough in my skin to be myself? And I thought about that. And I have to say, here's my thing, y'all. So her question is, when was that pivotal point when you decided that you needed to love yourself? That's a good question. That's a good question. I wish my light was good. I don't know, Tara, is that I don't know if well let me say this. Before I turned 50, there was a place I was in a time when, I had gone through this up and down thing with my marriage and in and out of my relationship with my marriage. I'm having some issues with my camera tonight, y'all. I was really feeling like I had really given a lot of myself to a lot of people, and it was time for me to give myself to myself. So, because 50 was like, that's the age that you do it in. That's the age where you kind of like um, decide what you're going to do and what you ain't going to do. So, I did that at 50. Um, I was really in a place in my life. I've always been someone who kind of took chances, like did things just because, I was always, oh, we're gonna have some issues with my video tonight. I was always that person that felt like I trusted God. So when I decided that I wanted to do something, when I decided that I wanted to um, move to another state, when I decided that I wanted to uh, write my first book, all of those things, um, it seemed to me that I never had fear. I never had fear of taking a leap of faith. I always trust God with that leap of faith. Um, like where I lived at, what I want to do. I'm gonna go buy a house. I'm gonna go buy a car. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do that. I always felt okay with that, but as I have, so I'm 58 and I'm getting ready to turn 59 in June. Something is happening to me as I get to really close to 60. I'm getting more skittish about um, my choices, and I don't want to use the word fear because I know fear is not of God. But I'm gonna tell y'all that when you are in a place where you are getting older, and with everything that we've seen in this last 2 years, like now I'm having more health problems, you know. Now I'm in a place where I am remembering that it's just me, when before it really didn't matter that was me because I could do whatever. Now it's really different. It's really, gosh, how do you even describe it? It is this place of realizing your mortality. That's what it is. It's like, yo, Val, you can't just jump and run and do like you used to because you're getting older. Um, and with that getting older piece, I wish I knew what was going on with my daggone. Let's do this. My camera. And with that getting older piece, there, and being a single woman, there is a place in me that is cautious. Um, I think about things a little bit more. I think about the consequences, where when I was younger, there was no, hey, consequences. You know, it's like, hey, you know, I got God, He gonna take care of it, it's gonna be all good. That's a little different now. So the answer to your question, when was the point that I decided I needed to love myself? I think I always knew that I needed to love myself, but you know, we talk about the fact that we need to love ourselves. We talk about um being that woman that embraces ourselves, but that's really easier said than done, because we come with wounds, and because sometimes we don't even recognize that we operating out of our wounds, whether it is because, you know, somebody hurt us, whether it's because we trying to gain that mama love, that daddy love, whatever. We operated in that. And so I always talk about the fact that we present well. I always talk about how um you know, we show up in the world like we got it all together, and a lot of times we don't. I think as Black women, and I can only speak to that because I only know about that. I think as Black women, something in us says you have to do it all. You have to be the breadwinner. You have to be the nurturer. You have to be the caretaker. You have to be good in your career. You have to be, and not just good, but excellent. You have to go above board in everything that you do. So for a long time, that was my MOA, modus of operation. You know, I had to do. But I also had to, what really helped, what sort of was the thing that um was like the thing that made me feel good, the thing that kind of was that release from always having to be on and take care of everybody, was my ability to say, to be adventurous, to take chances and risks. Because I almost got like a I don't know, it's just a high I got from taking risks. Oh, I'm getting ready to move to another state. I'm getting ready to, you know, buy another house. I'm getting ready to travel over here. That there was this endorphin rush in that. So it kind of balanced out all of my needing to do. What I have learned in my older age, because this, I call it when the wobble comes, y'all, is that I have been reflecting on life so much that what I realize is that, you know, I have more years in back of me than in front of me. So it's really important for me to make the right choices. And I think because I am at that wisdom age, I second guess my choices where I never did before. So I always knew, Terry, that I needed to love myself. I embraced myself at 50. I continue to embrace myself. I mean, when I turned 50 is when I did the most outstanding things in my life. Is when I wrote books, is when I wrote the first book, is when I did the first film, it's when I modeled for the first time. It's when I did all the things. But then that whole decade of kind of doing me, and then facing 60, that's a whole nother chapter. She said, let's put it this way. At what point did you decide to put yourself first? Because you might have knew, but you didn't always put yourself first. I didn't always put myself first. I didn't always put myself first because my mother was a caretaker of the entire family. And she was like she was my hero. She was my shero. She was my everything. And I watched her very carefully be this strong woman who seemed to not need anyone, but I watched her take care of people. I watched her, house people, feed people, clothe people. I watched her do that. But I also watched at the end of her life a lot of people not be there for her. But that's why it's so important what we show our kids, because and she would tell me, don't do this, don't do this. But I did it because I thought that that was my responsibility. When my mother got sick and died, when my mother got cancer, my mother had my aunt in the house, my uncle was in the house, my mother had foster children in the house, my sisters was in the house, my cousins who had always lived with us was in the house, my stepfather was in the house. My mom's house it had to be like a dozen people in that house, right? And when she passed, because I was almost like her second in command. For me, that said, you supposed to step up and you're supposed to step into her shoes. That's what I nobody told me I had to do that, but that's what I thought that I had to do. And when I did that, from that point on, I became the matriarch and I took on everything and I took care of everybody. And I continued to do that because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, whether it was wearing me down or not. I felt guilty if I didn't do it. If somebody called me and needed me or they needed a place to stay and I said no, I felt that's terrible. How can you tell your brother, your sister, your cousin, your auntie that they can't stay with you? Of course they can stay with you. How can you tell X, Y, and Z that they can't borrow $50, even though you only got $55? You just trust God to give you the rest, but you should give it to him. That's my thought pattern. That's what I thought. I thought that because that's what I thought I saw. And so I took care of people. I took care of people because after a while, it just became second nature. And sometimes you can get high off of being the caretaker. You feel like, oh, well, who else is going to do it but me? And to me, that's sort of the Jesus syndrome, because after you do it for so long, after a while, you're doing it for your own feel good self. Like that's your own fix. That ain't even somebody else's. That's yours, because there's a need to be needed. And if you're not needed, then who are you and what good are you? And that's what I did. And I remember, now I got tired. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. But I remember having a conversation with you, actually, Terry, and my youngest daughter, who is the one. I have two daughters who are beautiful, wonderful, smart individuals. But my youngest daughter is most like me in one way. Like both of them are like me. Kia is my independent, mature self, right? The self that I was as a little girl. I'm good. I don't need no help. I could do it, mommy. I'm the good girl. I'll bring home the good grades. That's my Kia side. Talia is the little rebel in me. I don't want to do it that way. I think I'm gonna do it this way. I know that's the right way, but I don't want to do it that way. So Talia is the one that I always felt, oh, I needed to be there for. And one day I was having a conversation with my sister Terry and my daughter, and I was saying to them, I said, and this is the first time I have really asked for help. I said, I need help. I said, because I don't know how to say no to people. And I don't want to get into a place where I'm back to, because I had learned how to say it to friends. I had learned how to say it to some family members, but there were certain people that I did not know how to say no to. And I said, I need y'all to help me so that I don't get in this place again. And what they said was, oh, well, you should just say no. I was like, what? It was like, well, I said, well, y'all asked me so and so and so. Well, so you could say no just because we asked them and you have to do it. You need to start taking care of yourself. You need to start being there for you. And when they said it, like, as a matter of fact, I thought, dang, that's all it took. Like, all this time, that's all it took was that. But that was the answer. And from then on, it was about putting myself first. And it took a while not to feel selfish doing it, But the more I did it, the more people backed up off me. Like now people like, I'm not the first resort anymore. And if they do ask me something, my family and the closest people to me, they like, all right, so I really don't want to ask you. They will do anything not to ask me because I practiced that art of no for so long that I got it down pack now, and I'm gonna take care of me. So now it's almost like it's okay. I have to convince people it's okay to ask. I'm good with that. So yeah, it took some practice, but I think I'm here, and I know how to. I know that I need to be first. Now I'm a shift in life where I need to figure out what the next 10 years to look like. Hey Kia, you want to grill your chocolate smoothie? Aunt Terry asked me a question about when did I decide to put myself first. What is your question, Kia? Any question, just ask. That's what I'm here to do. And I gotta hold this computer because for real, I'm having some visual issues tonight. So I'll answer some questions. One of the questions that really plays into Terry's questions about loving myself is the fact that it took me a long time to love all of me. Like I've always been thick, like, and I love that I got nice booty. You know, my stomach ain't never really been big, so there's this old thighs for days, and you know what I'm saying. And I always felt like, all this thickness, this right here, this is all right. But when I was younger, like I made the comment, and my cousin saw it that I I was jealous of my cousins because they were light skinned. They were light skinned, like light skin ran in my cousin's side of the family, like they was all light and they had the cute little face. Me, I look like my daddy. Well, my daddy is 6 feet 2 and he's like 400 pound dude. I got hands like my father. They like little thick sausage fingers. And I would be like, dang, I'm a girl. Like, why I gotta look like my daddy like that? So it took me a long. I got the wide nose like my father. I like the lips, but as a child, all these features. I have dark circles. That's like the Wallace. Well, not the Wallace, but the Ford side of the family. That is my daddy's influence. I got all of these things, and so as a female, it was difficult for me to being young, I ain't had no good hair. What they say, good hair. I had a lot of hair. It was thick hair, but it was kinky hair. So I quickly understood that, you know, I look different. Now, my cousin used to always say, oh, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. And I would repeat it because it sounded cute, but I ain't feel like that. So I don't care how many times I said it, I didn't feel like that. And when you're young and you are dealing with like peer pressure and you like the little boys and you ain't light skinned, then you feel some kind of way. And for a long time, it took me to grow into understand the beauty because we can say all day long to kids, you're beautiful, but we really have to help them practice that, affirm it for themselves, um, give them some books to look at where they can see that our melanin comes from royalty so that they connect with it, so that they can be comfortable in their individual selves. And it doesn't mean that someone who is whatever shade you are, whether you're very, very light, very, very dark, or somewhere in between, that you have to practice that because it's not an easy thing. Now at my age, I'm comfortable in my skin. Like this is what it is, right? And I think I'm cute. Like this is what it is. I don't care. I went through COVID. I go through that period of time where I don't gain too much weight or I lose weight. I don't gain to lost weight all of my life. Like that's just been a roller coaster for me. But I'm cute. Look, I love clothes, right? And I can dress this up, whether it's 50 pounds over or 50 pounds under. I could dress this up. Now, intimately, it's not as easy to look in the mirror and say, I like that bump right there. I like that sag right there. That ain't always the way it works with women. Because when you get older, gravity happens, a whole lot of stuff happens. So it's something that you have to practice. You have to affirm. I got notes all over my bathroom that says you are beautifully and wonderfully made and God loves you and you're a child of God. I got to repeat those things to myself on a daily basis, because there are days when I don't feel that way. There are days where I feel like, oh, so it's a constant thing that you have to remind yourself. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you have history to connect with it that says that I'm not beautiful. And I think we really do um, little girls and even little boys a disservice when we don't enforce how beautiful they are, no matter what shade they are, no matter what size they are. We sometimes hear kids joking on each other, calling each other names. Oh, you fat, you skinny, you bald head, you do this, and we laugh. That ain't cute, because you start implanting those hurtful places from a child, and that kind of follows you all your life. I don't know how men deal with that. I understand from talking to some guys, they have their own insecurities, but I know for women, that's a hard place to be. My daughter Kia said, "How do you know when you are keeping your guard up in a healthy way or an unhealthy way in regards to a relationship?" That's a good question. Wow, I got to think about that, because you know what? Honestly, I don't feel that I do well in relationships. Like, I feel like, nah, I'm probably not the person to ask that. I don't feel like I do well in relationships. Now, I was married twice. My first marriage, I married young to my childhood sweetheart. And my second marriage, I married, I think, well, my first marriage, I married on my 21st birthday. It was a short marriage, but that was my childhood sweetheart, and everybody expected us to get married. I understood that he completely loved me. Like, I knew that. And then my second marriage lasted like almost 30 years. But it was it was tumultuous, those two of those relationships. Now, I knew that those two men loved me, even though we had like my daughter explained last week, like the tornado that was our love. For wasn't so much with the first one, but definitely with the second one. So now it's difficult for me, I'm saying, to find a relationship, because I'm used to being completely loved. And when I'm completely loved, there's no guard up. There's no blockage. Like, we know each other. I love you, you love me. If I know you love me, you know what I'm saying? I'm good, I'm secure, I'm comfortable, and I'm just going to love you. Um, Now, my guard has been up, James Rodman. Is your guard If your guard is keeping your blessings from blossoming, it is up properly. You're absolutely right. But here's the thing, James, that I'm trying to navigate. This is how I am. I start every relationship. Everybody gets an A. Like, you get an A from jump. You earn anything else. And so I'm kind of starting to think maybe everybody shouldn't get an A, because I give people A's. Yep, you said it. I believe you, because I ain't got no other reason. And in this current environment, people been earning D's and F's because quickly, like, you got an A. And I say that to people, you start with an A. My girlfriend said maybe people shouldn't start with an A. Maybe they should start with an F and earn an A. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. It's not so much because I don't want to keep my guard up, and that's not what I do. I feel like who God has for me is for me, but I want to be 100 in every relationship. Like, I want to be 100 about how I feel. I want to be 100 about everything, the physical, the insecurities. I want to be vulnerable. I want you to rub over this little side pocket of fat and be like, "Ooh, baby, that's the sweetest side pocket of fat I ever felt." And I want to rub over your bald head and say, "Ooh, baby, that's the sweetest bald head I ever felt." I want that. I don't want there to be no lies. If you feel in some kind of way, and you don't know how I'm going to receive it, tell me anyway. If you got a past and you don't been through some things, I don't want you to be afraid to tell me, because I'm not going to be afraid to tell you. I want that kind of relationship without guards up. But experience is like, it's like having a wound that you band-aid and people keep rubbing up against it, and eventually the band-aid come on. That's what's happening as I'm dealing with people, because people have agendas. I ain't got time for bull. I really don't. I ain't got no time for that. So if I say all those things up front and you still play those games, then I feel discouraged about what's out here. And then, Kia, there is a guard up. You say something, then I'm looking a little side eye. Is that really true? I don't know. That's what's happening, but that's built over time. That's because of how people are presenting, or maybe the people that I have been presented with. Maybe that's what it is. Um, and it's a lot of work. So that's why I say that part of my life, I don't know how well I do relationships. Now I could say, wow, you was in a marriage for almost 30 years. So some people haven't been in relationships for 2 years. So maybe you are doing something right. Maybe I could say that. Maybe I could say that I was with men who I knew loved me. I knew they loved me completely. And maybe I could say, well, that's to your benefit. But then I look at even those men today, like, because honestly, there's been 3 men in my life. One, two. If we don't count my first husband, who was my childhood sweetheart, there are 3 men in my life today that I know love me, absolutely. But here's the thing: we ain't together. And my question is always, if you love me like that, where you at? Like, cause I'm here right now. Like all that, oh, I just love you. That I'm not impressed anymore by that. Cause okay, you love me, but love is an action word to me. And I know that's where your heart is. I know that's what you say. But I guess today I feel like, well, I well then if it's on you then, brother. If you love me so much, why I'm sitting up here, why I'm struggling by myself, right? Why am I feeling the things I feel as I go to the place in life where I'm um in a seasoned, settled place? Why I'm doing that by myself if you love me so much? That's my question. Um I think Kia, as my daughter, that there is a healthy guard, and it's not a guard that keeps, it's not like a steel guard where people can't get in at all. But I think there is a healthiness of not putting all of your cards on the table immediately in a relationship, because you related it to a relationship when until you really know somebody. I think that's a healthy thing to do, to really be cautious, because you know what, we are women and it is some craziness out here. I am saying that I'm backtracking because I used to put everything on the table. I feel like, you meet somebody, you trying to develop a relationship. And then to me, I'm talking about a friendship. Because for me, you got to be my friend first. Like it can't go from 0 to 100 until we get to know each other. But even in all of that, there's a certain amount of, in this day and age, of protective guard that you got to put up until you get to know what a person is about. And in this day and age where everything is done online, it's not easy to really get to know anybody. Like people will text you one word, hi, how are you today? Every day. I'm telling you, I'm in some of these dating sites. Well, I'm on one now. And I have people that text me every day, hello. I can like answer the question before them. Hi, good morning. How are you, beautiful, or something like that? How you doing? Fine. How was your day? Fine. Text me at the end of the day. How you doing? Fine. How was your day? Fine. That's bullshit. I ain't got what are you are, and I want to say, and sometimes I do. I'm fine, and so are you. Like, what else is there to talk about? Like, that's not to me how you get to know somebody. You gotta what makes you sad? Like, what makes you happy? What makes you smile? What makes you angry? What does your anger look like? Like, what's important to you? Those kind of things you don't get from those little brief online one liners. You just don't. I don't anyway. I think that's so unnecessary. I don't want to be rude, so I respond. But it ain't because I'm interested. Because to me, I look at it as like, nigga, like really, like that's all. I have one friend, I have to say, who we have been friends for about, dang, it's 3 years now. Now he every morning for the last 3 years he checks on me. How you doing? Good morning. That's different. Like, because he's been consistent for like 3 years, and we chilled a little bit. That's my friend. But other dudes, like, I, yeah, whatever. I'm not impressed with the little hello, how you doing, beautiful, good morning, hey, goodbye. That's what I feel. All right, so it's 29 after the hour, and I need to see some more questions. Some more questions for the chocolate smoothie. Um, trust. Let's have a conversation about trust, right? I think trust and having your guard up is pretty much the same conversation. Um, and I'm talking about not just in a relationship, I'm talking about with people, right? Because we seem to be moving to a place, especially since we've been isolated for so long, where it's hard. It's you don't really want to trust a lot of people because people been acting kind of crazy. They've been acting kind of crazy, a little aggressive to me. You never know what people are gonna do, so you should beware. Um, but I think trust is earned, just like that grade. Like you shouldn't get an A from the beginning. With trust, you got to start with something lower and build up to it. Uh, Even with friends, I have to tell you though, I'm really blessed because I got some good girlfriends. I do. I know that I'm blessed. People that I can be myself with, people that I can be transparent with, people that when I call on, they're there. When they call me, I'm there. That if I say I can't even pray for myself, that they on the line calling other people to pray for me. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that because you don't often see women who have that ability or even that blessing. I do. I see a lot of times women are catty to each other, talk about each other, you know, trying to take each other's man, trying to take each other's business, trying to take each other's money, just always being catty. You see it on TV, you see it in media, you see it on Facebook, you see it like, that hurts my feelings. That really hurts my feelings because I think women together, when we on one accord, we are powerful. And because I have had that blessing, like have a best friend, right? Like ride or die, like God blessed best friend that I could share my soul with and she can share her soul with me. And I got friends that like love me truly and I love them truly. And so when I see women who don't know what that is about, who don't know what it's like to uplift your sister and fix her crown and, you know, don't let her walk out the bathroom with the toilet paper stuck to her dress because you guys want to talk about her really bad. When I see women that have negativity towards other women, that hurts me because I think we women um, are so competent, powerful, and strong, and should be lifting each other up. And I don't understand the need to tear each other down. You know, I don't understand a woman. And let me. All right, so let me tell you my stuff. Right, I'm gonna talk about side chicks. Right, I've been a side chick before in my life when I was younger because I don't play side chick now because I feel like if I'm not going to be your first um choice, like I'm first choice. I'm not an option. And I say that period. I'm not gonna be an option. Yeah, if ain't nothing else going on, that ain't what I'm gonna be, then I'm not gonna be nothing. And you can tell when people is playing you, brothers playing you like options, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna call you when I need nah, bro, nah. Cause that's me understanding my value. Like I know what I bring to this. So because I know what I bring to this, right? It's emotional, it's physical, emotional, spiritual, all of that. Then it's your loss, right? If you try to play me out, that's your loss. So knowing your value really helps you to um stay in a place that demands people other people know your value. So while I have been a side chick in my younger years, I think that there's a lot of different reasons why women accept that role. Maybe they don't want anything else. So maybe they feel like I don't want the work of having to have this person in my life 24/7. I don't want to pick up their drawers. I don't want to have to wash their clothes. I don't want them telling me what to do. So I'll play this role of side chick and he can come to me and it'll always be a honeymoon period. You know what I'm saying? Every time we see each other, we're going to be happy to see each other because I'm dessert. You know, you ain't got to work for dessert. The dessert is sweet. That might be why women choose to be the side chick. Maybe it's for financial reasons. Maybe they got somebody that takes care of them. There might be a lot of reasons why women choose make a choice that I'm gonna be the side chick. But my thought is this: if that's the space you want to be in, that's the lane you in. How you gonna get mad at the other woman? See that part right there is what I don't understand. Like I found out my man is cheating today. I'm going to tear up, oh sis, I'm going to cuss her out and beat her down and whoop that ass because she messing with my man. She ain't committed to me. She gonna do what it is for whatever her reasons. Maybe he offered her something that she couldn't refuse. Maybe he said something to her that she ain't used to nobody souping her up like that. So that was the dude for her, right? Maybe she knew he was in a relationship. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she didn't know he was in a relationship when she first met him. And then she learned later. And by that time, she had fallen in love with him. Okay. But I'm not going to beat her down. Because guess what? If it ain't her, it would have been somebody else. I'm committed to him. That's the part I don't understand. You mad at old girl. You out here, you talking all kinds of things about females. You dogging sisters out. That be that this that because she messed with my man. Like, first of all, you own the man and you don't. And second of all, what about the man's responsibility? Because the man or woman, it could be vice versa. It's the same thing with dudes. You go out here and you want to beat a dude down because they was with your old lady, but they ain't committed to you. They ain't got nothing for you. They doing what they would normally do. They not the person you should be mad at. So that's the issue that I have with people that choose again to be a side chick. You know you a side chick. You know that you don't get Thanksgiving. You get the day after. You know you don't get Valentine's Day. You get the day after. You know there's certain places you can't go because you can't be seen. Although there are some that just bold and like that, they might be seen anywhere. But for the most part, you know your role, you know your lane. So ain't no need to get mad at nobody else because of something that you chose. You chose. That's my take on that side chick thing. I think we like even going back to the whole thing with Will and Jada and Mr. Chris Rock, right? Me and my sister, we disagreed on who was right because my sister, you know, because my sister was really talking about her husband having my brother-in-law has similar qualities. He's very chivalrous, and for me, to me, and Terry, I might be wrong, but to me, my sister got caught up in the gallantry that was perceived, right? It is wonderful to have a man have your back. Like we as women, I know I do. I want a man that got my back. I want to know that no matter what, he's there for me. If I'm tired and I want to come home and say, babe, stuff is messed up today, and I could just lay on his shoulder and he say it's all good. Yeah, you want that. Women want that gallantry. But I don't believe that that's what that was. I think that Will has a lot of pressure and some anxiety and mental health issues. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think, sometimes we let stuff build up on us, right? I might have had a terrible month or two, and then today somebody stepped on my shoe and I knocked them clean across the floor. It wasn't because they stepped on my shoe. It was because that was the last straw. And I'm not saying it's not cool to be gallant. I'm saying I believe that what Chris Rock said did not warrant the reaction that it got. And it could have been done differently. That's where me and my sister differ. Because right or wrong, like comedians make jokes on people. That's what they do. You could be fat, skinny, tall, black, tall. That's what they do. They talk about you, right? Granted, you got a right to stand up for your woman. But for me, I got to think about where they were. Like you were at the Academy Awards. This is your whole circle. Like you already know what it is here. You could have pulled old dude to the side. You could have knocked him out in the hallway. You could have cussed him out. You could have did a lot of things. To me, that said there's some stuff on him. Even those tears said, I am so sick and tired. I think he has gone through so much ribbing about his relationship and everything that was just the last straw. And for me, I think we don't talk enough about our emotional state as Black people. Like I think all of us, black, white, yellow, green, are dealing with post-traumatic stress because COVID was a lot to deal with. It was emotional. We lost so many people so quickly. We was locked down and isolated. We human beings. We are meant to be around people. It changed our whole world in a quick time, over 2 years. And I think a lot of us are dealing with a lot of stress, a lot of COVID post-traumatic stress. And we don't, I feel like, Just like even with Kanye, somebody needs to say, yo, maybe Will ain't okay. We know Kanye ain't okay. And what's sad is that nobody loves him enough to say, yo, man, let me pull you aside. Let me take you somewhere. Let me get you some help. Let me do something for you. Like, we so look for that outlet. Like, okay, we talking about Will and Chris today. Tomorrow we'll be looking for something else to talk about, because we almost like need people's lives to be our TV, so we ain't got to look at our own shit. Like, really, I think that's what we do. That's why we stroll so much and we engage so much and we got opinions on so much. We all got opinions. I got opinions too. But I think sometimes our need to be so engrossed in everything outside of our life is our not wanting to deal with the stuff inside of our life. So I think that was a clear, for me, opportunity for us to start talking openly about our mental health issues. That's right, mental health. That's what I said. I don't know why in the Black community we get so scared of mental health, the word mental health, because we talk at our tables. At least a lot of Black people I know, we quick to call somebody crazy. We know what crazy look like. Now, there's a difference between crazy and people say, don't say that word, that's politically incorrect. Well, damn it. Okay, when the dude say I had to kill everybody in the house because they was home, that's crazy. That's some mental health that caused the crazy. All right, how we act sometimes can be a little crazy. But I'm talking about depression. I'm talking about schizophrenia. I'm talking about that pressure, that anxiety that's real. It's a real diagnosis that we don't want to have the conversation of. And we don't want to look vulnerable. And we don't want people to think that we don't have it all together. We don't want people to talk about us and we act a little funny. Somebody need to say, yo, somebody need to say, we need to wrap our arms. We'll need some help. We need to wrap our arms around them. That's what I just think. That's why. My sister said, no. Wait a minute. Let me see what my sister said. Because, here's where we disagree. My sister said, no, I didn't, because I also talked about her responsibility, the responsibility of Jada, too. It was not the first time that Chris had talked about him. And what about Denzel and Tyler talking to him? Right? Oh, well, I mean, I feel like, and Val, we don't allow men to talk about mental health. But we should allow men to talk about mental health, right? I think, look, what is it when 90% of our young boys is killing each other? What is that? That is a reaction to some trauma that happened in their life. We gotta stop feel like we are almost desensitized, like stuff is natural. It is not natural for our young Black boys to be slaughtering each other because somebody took my block. They looked at me too hard. They messing with my dope. That's not normal. There is something that happens to us in our life. A lot of stuff, like we perpetuate the cycle. We do too much around kids. Kids see too much. We raise kids in environments in ways that they shouldn't be raised. There's abuse that happens. There's alcoholism. There's drug addiction that happens. And then kids grow. And then there's anger. There's the absent father, the absent mother, all of those things, the inability to learn in school. There's all of those things, the systems that set us up. There's all of those things. But there's the reasons, right, that can lead to us having unstable emotional problems. And we need to say that out loud and not be afraid, not be like, I ain't crazy. Listen, there are a lot of other ethnicities that will go in a minute to see a counselor, to talk to somebody who get paid to spill their stuff. We don't want nobody seeing us walking through the store because somebody might label us. So we wait till we get so bad that we got to go and get some kind of medicine. Otherwise, we can't function. It's a real thing. Depression, when you don't want to get out of bed. I've been depressed. When you don't want to do nothing, when you don't want to get dressed, when the enemy is in your ear and all you can think is negativity and all you want to do is sleep and eat. That's a mental illness. Now, granted, I don't necessarily feel like we should take medicine for everything. I think there's ways, and it's not my business how we deal with it. But I do think we should talk about it. We shouldn't be afraid to mention it. And when we see it, we should recognize it and not judge and talk about it, but pray for folks. That's my thought on it. Kia says, it's normal In a maladjusted society, the international stage doesn't look any different from the local war. It doesn't. No, it doesn't. It feels like war all the time, especially now. Terry said, yes, we should, but when men cry out, we look at them strangely, and we shake our heads at them and we hold it against them. There needs to be more programs for men. I agree. But it has to be a man to have the programs, and we seem to not have enough men to have mentorship programs. Kia said, without guidance and intentional, that's the word, without guidance and intentionally building capacity and skill in our youth, where will they get it from? That's true. If you don't have anything to relate to, if you're not intentional about it, I don't know where they would get it from. I think even as Black women, we need to be more embracing of our men. Like I mean, it's not an excuse, but a lot of my men are where they are because of society or things that happen or untreated mental illness, or, we look at men like they're a paycheck. If he can't pay my bills and he can't be with me, I feel like there's more to men. Like there's their heart, there's their drive. I said this before. One of the things that I respected about my ex-husband, when I met him, he was working at Burger King. That's right. When I first met him, he was working at Burger King. And it was sexy as hell to me that rain, sleet, or snow. That means he didn't even have a car at the time. He would get up and walk to work and walk home. And whatever little check he got, he gave it to me. That was, I respected him for that, because he would say, I'm trying. I might not have a backing, I might have an education, I might not have the tools, but I'm trying, and I respected that. And I stood by him and helped him and supported him and built him up. And he got a job working for Amtrak. You know what I'm saying? Whenever he needed his documents done, I did it. What he needed to learn, I taught him. I supported him, because that's what we're supposed to do, build our men up. You can have a man that's making six figures that's treating you like shit. Just because they got the money don't make them have a good heart. They got to have a car. And that's what I say. You ain't got to have a car to be with me. Now, I don't want to do all the driving, but you got to get to me. And if you got to take the train, to me, that shows effort. I feel like we got these checklists, and it's not fair. Men should be vulnerable. But, Terry, we teach them from little boys. Don't cry. What, you a sissy? Man up, punching them in the chest. Y'all know. Why? I ain't saying, is that the mark of a man, that you can take a hit in the chest? That mean you a man? I don't understand. But you don't know how to treat somebody. You don't treat your mama well. You don't treat your woman well. You don't treat nobody well. But if you could take a punch in the chest, then you a man. I don't know. For me, that's not qualifications of a man. Terry says, well, just like nobody is talking about how Tyler Perry and Denzel immediately pulled Will aside and talked to him. They show, and I got big respect for that. They showed the slap repeatedly, but did not show that brotherly support. Absolutely, they didn't. And a lot of people ain't even talking about that. I was like, to me, like those brothers that immediately surrounded that brother, that's what we need to be doing. Like, even our men, like one of the most effective programs that work are programs that are for men who are integrating back into the community, right? Because brothers that's been there and know and have learned from their experience, to me, they're the best ones to talk to our young brothers who are getting ready to make choices. They know where they're getting ready to walk. They can say, they can't say, you can't tell me nothing because you don't know. I do know, bro. Don't do that, dude, because that's what I did, and this is where it took me. Like, I think we need to have more programs like that, I got big respect for Tyler and Denzel. And yes, people should have talked about it more. They should have showed it more. But the media is for what it is. A media is going to put on blast wherever they're going to get the hypest ratings. That's why they always showing us as thugs and killers and sluts. And they like when we have programs on TV where we jumping across tables, ripping each other's hair out, because that just supports what people believe about us. But there's self-responsibility that we have. Maybe we should be having that conversation. We should have it more. us black people. If the media is not going to show it, then we can change the conversation and go like big ups. Let that be a post. Big up to Denzel and Tyler for showing what it's like, embracing the king and saying, yo, bro, that wasn't the right thing to do. We got to start with us. We can't wait for other people to do it because they ain't going to necessarily do it. Kia says literally 10 to 12 feet of snow blizzard in Providence, Rhode Island. Walking to work. That's right. That was her stepfather. He walked to work, right? And I got respect for that. There was even when I met him, like, my ex-husband wasn't cultured and I was very like aware. Like I was militant, right? And so we would have conversations about things like racism, and we would have conversations about busing, and we would have conversations, and he would give this real ignorant answer. And when I first met him, I was like, I don't even know if I could be with this dude because he don't think nothing like me, right? But he wanted to understand. Like me and Kia had this conversation before. It's a difference between being ignorant, because ignorance is only not knowing, and being just dumb. Like you don't want to learn. This is just what it is. This is how I feel. Like my ex-husband never watched the news ever. He did not watch the news. Now I be asking him, so what happened with so and so? Because he know every politician. What happened with this? What happened to that? Da 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 da. Because we grew together. And when you are open, like I learned so much from him about being strong and surviving, and being cautious in the streets and different ways of how to move. Like we learn from each other. And that's what to me is supposed to be like. You don't have to come. We don't come with like a full tank of gas. We all come with some impurities in the gas tank. And so when you meet somebody, you can't be like, well, I don't look right. Because most of the time we attract what we are. We just don't think we do. Right. Like both of us had hustle in us. We just did it different ways. Both of us wanted something good. We just did it different ways. Like he knew how to go out and sling drugs. Like he admitted it. Like that's what he did. That's how he survived. Because where he came from, that's the only way he knew how to survive. Right. But when we got together, he learned that he was smart. A teacher told him he wasn't never going to learn because he had a learning disability. That was a lie from the pits of hell, because that man is one of the smartest men I know. Right? It's about how you receive somebody. It's about seeing past the cover and really looking inside people. And I don't even know if that's something we are willing to do in this day and time, because we seem to be so enamored with the cover. Ooh, they got a big booty. Ooh, they got dark and they bald head. Ooh, you know what I'm saying? They got a nice car. Ooh, look at her. We so enamored with the cover. But the thing about the covers is that they're good for like 5 or 10 minutes. And when that cover come off, right? Like when that weave come out and them eyelashes come off and that fake booty come off and all of that and the fake teeth when the cover come off, you be like, I want you to love me without the cover. Because if you love me without the cover, you're going to absolutely adore me with it. So we got to not bring our representative to the table. I met a dude recently who brought his representative to the table, right? But you got to be like strong to be my man. Like you can't be no weak dude. And when I say weak dude, I feel like this. I'm going to support you. You ain't got to have da-da-da-da. I'm going to be that woman. But you can't like, okay, this look hard and I don't want to do it. No. That's my whatever, Achilles heel. And that's something maybe I got to work on. But you can't be no weak dude. You can't be no like when things get tough, you melt. What I need you for? Because then I got to be tough for both of us. So I have talked a lot, and we are almost at the hour. I appreciate this. Grill your chocolate smoothie. I had a chance to talk. I could talk. Give me an opportunity. I could talk. But I really love this platform. I like having an opportunity to share opinions and talk to people and listen to opinions, and I love that communication piece of it. So I thank you for this time. I want to thank AIM. I want to for the culture, for the collective, Armstrong International Media. I want to thank Untapped Music Radio with my sister Terry and my brother-in-law Frank. Please tune in. Check out Untapped Music Radio. It's a really groovy online radio station. And Sister Talk with Valerie airs every Friday at 7:30 with a replay at 6. And you know, Untapped Music Radio and Armstrong International Media is doing big things, y'all. Get ready to move to Roku, get ready to be doing some bigger things. You know, when God is in your life and you are really operating, wanting His guidance and blessings, He opens doors that no man can shut. And so, God, I'm so grateful to God. I am so grateful to God because here's the thing that I love about God. Like everything that I talked about today, like God knows me all through and through, right? And He loves me no matter what. I don't have to be short, tall, big, small, rich, poor. I'm just His child, right? And as long as I'm lining up with Him and His will, we good because He want good things for me. And all I got to do is be there, right? Be careful of distractions because the enemy was a beautiful angel, y'all. And somebody could or something could show up real pretty in your life. And you could think, oh, this must be a blessing for God. Side eye some things, right? That's not putting your guard up. That's bringing it to God. Pray over it first because everything is not for everybody, just like everyone is not for everybody. So when something sometimes shows up in the form of what you think is your angel, pray over it first and make sure that it's your angel. So with that, I'm gonna say, my sister says, "Oh wait a minute, we got a lot of stuff." My sister said, "It's true. Charity begins at home. We have to be more on purpose. How we teach our kids, especially our boys. Our boys need a man in their life, whether it be a father, a big brother, or uncle, or kings. Need to be like Denzel and Tyler, and they need to be a man example for that single parent. Maybe it's a neighbor. We got to be careful. We don't always have neighbors. Yeah, I'm gonna say that I think that like single mothers, I can't teach a boy how to be a man, and I think a lot of our boys are operating under the influence of women because we ain't had no other choice. But I don't necessarily, as I've grown and thought and prayed on it, believe that we're the best teachers of our boys. We don't know how to teach our boys how to be a man. We do the best we can when we don't have a man in the house. But when I hear women say, I'm the mother and the father, no, you're not, babe. You ain't the father because you can't be. You ain't built like that. And it's unfortunate that we don't have a lot of men stepping up. You know, we try to put our kids in sports or whatever, but then you got to be careful because everybody don't have the best intentions there. So I agree that a child does need a father or a big brother. But if those resources are not available, we do the best we can. And a lot of times those resources are not available. So maybe we need to stand up, get together. We always say it, we never do it. You know, create more programs that are for our young children, whether they be boy or girl. And Terry said, "This is why Hatchet Chronicles is so important to me because it's not just one sided, it's about the kings and the queens." Absolutely. My hat off to kings and queens. Love y'all. Have a beautiful evening. And be blessed, be blessed, be blessed. Yes, that's what I'm saying. This is your chocolate smoothie signing off until next week. Bye bye.